So, today's focus is to talk about how do we go mainstream? How do we take Web3 gaming to the masses? Each of you have different backgrounds. Some of it is in Web 2, Web 2.5, Web 3, Web 5. Which is a term about today. Let's start with introductions from each of you.
Hi, I'm Hugo from EthDenver. So we were a fully kind of Web 2 mobile game studio about a year and a half ago. And we're concentrating on the on-ramp of Web 2 to Web 3 users. So on Web 2.5, we created a really simple Unity SDK. It takes about 5-10 minutes to implement. So Web 2 mobile game studios can kind of make their first foray into Web 3.
Hey everybody, I am Bolon. I may or may not be affiliated with DeFi Kingdoms. I'm the community director for Kingdom Studios, which is the studio that is developing DeFi Kingdoms, which is a tokenized RPG blockchain game.
Hey guys, my name is Abraham Troy. I'm the director of development over at GameSwift. We're a game publisher, game developer, gaming chain, and also a game launcher. Just launched 3 days ago. We have over 100 games onboarded from Web 3, 80 games from Web 2, 20 metaverses. Now we're just starting. Trying to make that bridge between, Web 3.
Hey guys, I'm Alex Gare. I'm with DeFi Kingdoms. No, I'm just kidding. I like the DeFi Kingdoms energy. I'm with Syscoin. We're a layer 1 and layer 2 modular full stack blockchain. I work in the business development side. I do a lot of project management as well. We're really, really bullish on the GameFi section of the crypto world and bringing that from Web 2 to Web 3. We're launching our first roll-up in about 8 weeks, so we're really excited about that. I'm excited to be spending with these guys talking about mainstream adoption.
All right, thanks. All right, great. So let's jump into it. Right? What everyone wants to know is what actually do gamers want, right? Or what do they expect out of, if you're going to interrupt the gameplay with Web3, how do you make it up to them?
I'm not sure if I heard the question. But I think like the elephant in the room, it needs to be a fun game, right? And I think to make games go mainstream, we're competing with the Web 2 games. It's not good enough to be, okay, we're a cool Web 3 game. It needs to be better than the Web 2 incumbents. And I think we're not there yet, but it's certainly coming with some of the cool games.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there. They were fun. They were an entertaining game. They were something that they can enjoy playing. But I think in terms of blockchain gaming, it'll get to a point where virtually every game uses the blockchain, and it'll be like the internet now. A good 20 years ago, getting online was a huge deal. Now it's not. So I think the blockchain will kind of take that same path.
If you said that all games are going to be using blockchain eventually, I can see so. I can see that.
I think ultimately it has to just be good, right? Like the person was saying, the issue is these games are not good. They have no engagement. That's why there's no conversion, there's no impressions, there's just user drop off. There has to be like games first, and economics have to be secondary, right? That's basically their nature. That's what we're trying to do at Games World. We're trying to focus on good games, right? Because we're like exclusive to the fact that we don't have games are made for some these guys. We don't have these guys too. And we're work with we also have 3 games as well. We also have that absolute example together. So yeah, it's for the games.
I feel like I can tell you what gamers don't want, and that's just friction. Right now, there's a lot of friction between Web 2 and Web 3. A lot of the players, they misunderstand certain concepts, or it's completely foreign to them. So essentially, we have to find a way where we eliminate that friction completely, and that way you can actually start scaling, you can start getting more gamers on board, and have more disposition for playing these games and getting into the actual technology without even realizing that they're using the technology. That's a key.
So I'm hearing a lot of let's focus on gameplay, user experience. The tech is a tool. Use it only when you need it. Right? So actually, what is some of you folks, by the way, I've had conversations. They have onboarded millions, hundreds of millions of people to games in Web 2, mobile games, etc. Considering your backgrounds, right? What are you seeing in terms of resistance to play, learn to earn, or these NFTs or whatever it might be? Just what are players thinking these days?
Yeah, well, we found from the mass market viewpoint that the moment we said, okay, play our game and win an NFT, or play the game and win a token, the conversion rates went down loads and loads. But when we started saying, okay, get this coin and you could win a reward, or a collectible, or an avatar, or a sword in game, that's when the conversion rates went up loads and loads. So yeah, I think speaking in mass market language and not kind of overcomplicating it.
Just want to really double click on that. The change is nothing on the tech. It's perception, it's language, it's concepts. Pretty profound.
Yeah, I definitely think education is a massive piece to things. And then I think the other two factors are accessibility and fear. So on the accessibility front, let's be honest, the process of entering the world of crypto the first time is a daunting and intimidating task. Getting a wallet set up, getting funds onto a platform, bridging, it's a lot for somebody who's not familiar and doesn't have somebody to guide them. So things like on-ramps and off-ramps, things like what Alex mentioned where they don't even know they have a wallet, but they do. All of those are things that will be very crucial in eliminating that gap, which helps eliminate some of the fear, and then the other side of the fear is tied to the fear of crypto. And so that's one thing I think will become alleviated naturally to an extent as GameFi kind of separates itself a little bit from the broader crypto market. That it's not about the volatility, the pricing. You're not as invested in the pricing of the tokens. You're invested in playing the game. I think that will go a long way to easing those fears, whereas right now, everything still comes back down to price.
Yeah, I don't have the answers here either, but I'll say that just connecting the gameplay for price movement could have a big profound impact. That's right.
Yeah, I think you're right about trackability. Right? We need trackability, I think, for all the users. Like, for example, we're trying to be agnostic, chain agnostic, right? We're not only based on Solana, Ethereum. Right now, we're bridging into BNB, Solana, Avalanche, even Casper network. Small to big, we don't care where the network is. We want to bring everyone because we want to be also the game developers creating the games, the right people they want to partner up with utility to this that will feed into I think the gaming where they'll focus on making good games and ultimately benefiting the whole ecosystem.
I think when it comes to sentiment, there's two things. There's an opportunity, so people see these play to earn models, these PvP models, all these different type of models that are coming out, and they see opportunity, so that excites them about Web3 in crypto gaming. But then there's the other side, this is kind of gimmicky, this kind of Ponzi-ish, these tokenomics stuff, I don't know if it's really going to work out. And I think that's just, you're going to have to go through the market and see what pans out, but I really do think that there is a place for real, legit gaming that's done on computers, whether it's indie games or big studio games. They will eventually incorporate this technology. To what degree? I think we have to wait and see how long it's going to take to develop. But the technology there, the sentiment is good right now overall because it's something new. Everyone likes new stuff, right? But it's going to take time. That's my opinion.
With the emergence of layer 2, subnets, parachains, common zones, other layer 1s, etc., maybe it makes sense to deploy your point system, which might not be super valuable, but from a sentiment and consumer perspective, it means more. So I said, I don't want to sign up for that. Because at least I know I can keep doing all this, you know what I mean? And then putting that onto like an app chain or layer two, or if I want the time throughput, I think that could be, I think this type of technology will gamification enter other areas of society. Okay, so now, in terms of onboarding people to Web3, what are some just high-level things that you think are important to make it more serious? What techniques do you talk about?
Yeah, I think what I said earlier, kind of speaking in their language, not using all these reference zones. From a game design, like mobile game studio perspective, there's so much choice out there now, which is good, but sometimes it's kind of what chain do I go with, what SDK do I do? So I think effectively making that easier, so it's for a Web 2 game studio, it's obvious. You go to Unity, you create stuff, there's so many YouTube tutorials and everything like that. I think that will come, but that ease for mobile game studios will also help take this mainstream.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just about simplicity and simplifying the process. So on and off ramps can be a big part of that because if you eliminate the need for a centralized exchange, you eliminate a lot of steps. But also, like I said before, the automation of wallet creation. So all the user does is create a username and password like they've done for every platform they've ever used online. A wallet's made for them, and when they want that seed phrase, they can get that seed phrase. And if they want to go farther and start using the wallet on their own, they absolutely have that option. And they should be encouraged to do so, but at their own pace. Setting up, I'm going to use MetaMask as an example, no shade meant, but setting up a MetaMask wallet, you create a password, then you get a seed phrase, then it has you verify the seed phrase, and the warnings are very applicable. Like I'm glad that all of those warnings are there, but it makes it sound terrifying. And it's for a good reason, but when you read those messages about never share your seed phrase, never lose your seed phrase, if you lose it, everything you own is gone forever. Yeah, that makes people stop. So simplifying that process, I think, goes a long way.
100%. I agree. That's what we're doing. We're at Houston too. Look at our platform. It's very easily loggable, right? We use Gmail, Apple, even eventually I integrate on Steam ID, use Epic Store ID, any kind of thing, like e-wallet, Wallet Connect, any kind of wallet out there. We're trying to be like, make it as easy as possible, and also we're trying to make everything seamless. Like, not only Web3, as ultimately what we're trying to do is onboard Web2, I will engage with onboard Web2 to Web3. So it's very important that everything's in the flow, right? Even if you have original families, if you exchange your data, it's going to be really quick. It's all game internal game tokens that are changing. NFT collections through in-game, like passive NFTs, like anything with Steam, right? Doing the same concept. We're not calling NFTs, we're calling NFTs in-game assets, IAPs, just like what we're using Web 2 already, right? Game jargon, like jargon. We just want to make everything just easier for us.
I think you want to make it ultra secure, ultra decentralized, make them remember their 24 seed phrase. No, I'm just kidding. I'm echoing the sentiment of my bros over here. Terms like account abstraction, we'll be hearing a lot more about in the near future. Those are like smart wallets, is essentially what they're describing. Also, single sign-on type options is also what they're describing. I'm pretty much echoing exactly what they're saying. I have really nothing much more to add than that.
Yeah, I think the agreement here is keep it simple, and then when you let it off board or custody it yourself, keep it simple still. Okay, great. Let's talk about like game dynamics for a second. How do we make an exciting game? I mean, just some ideas. There's a lot of this kind of endless probably, but there have to be some sort of fundamentals that all of our ideas kind of overlap a little bit. Maybe we can try to talk about what are the secret ingredients of making a Web3 game interesting.
I think a big thing is you need to know your market audience. So if you know it's kind of full DGen Web3, I think there are certain things you need to focus on. If it's mass market, then it needs to be different. But yeah, I think immediate gratification is something that works really well with mobile. You kind of every movement you make, you want it to feel good. So yeah.
Yeah, I actually think kind of building on that is not only knowing your audience, but knowing what you want to build. So, when you say, what are the key ingredients for a game? Well, what kind of game? A trading card game, an RPG, a first-person shooter? There's so many different options, and if you try to dilute it in multiple categories beyond a small level, you just don't build a game anymore. You build kind of a conglomeration of pieces of multiple games. So not only knowing what your target audience is, but knowing the style of game that you want to build and focusing on that and staying true to your vision.
What was the question again? How do you build a killer, awesome Web3 game? And you can actually just talk about Web2 too. It's also good.
Killer, I guess like the hype that Cyberpunk 27 did, right? It's really marketing. I think marketing is one of the key components. I'm sure you're from the mobile side too. UA campaigns, these activations that you gotta do on social media. It's really the driving factor, I think. Hype, community building, and really everything. Really. It's really marketing. Yeah.
Okay. With marketing though, we have to balance it with customer acquisition costs and total lifetime value, etc. In Web 2, what's interesting, you guys feel like Google and Facebook, where I could just, all right, I've got something converting, let's 10x it right now, tomorrow, right? That's how it works. We don't really have that necessarily in Web 3. By the way, what they're doing over there is awesome. These all panelists are actually trailblazing. I'm serious. Well, let's continue. Yes.
I don't know the answer. I mean, ask DeFi Kingdoms. This is one of the most popular blockchain games out there. The only thing I just like to get hyped from, so I like to mention DeFi Kingdoms. It's really about leveraging the technology if you really need it, and then finding any value adds there that could incentivize those new gamers to come on board and start being intrigued to play the game. And then the rest is a lot of what these guys were saying.
Yeah, I think you all said, the players should know the difference, right? In the end, before they know it, they're involved in Web 3. That's very cool. Okay, so let's talk about, this is the last question, there's one question and answer. What do we think GameFi, Web3 gaming is going to look like in 3 years?
Yeah, I hope as Bolon said, we kind of take it for granted, right? That everything's Web3. And I think there will be a tipping point where users kind of start to think, why wouldn't I do a Web3 game? Because it's more rewarding than Web2. I hope and I think we will be at that point.
I think it'll be essentially chain agnostic. I don't think it will matter what chain you're built on. There will be interoperability between them. You'll be able to move between them easily and seamlessly, and everybody will be able to just game and not have to worry about what chain the game is built on, why they should go on this chain versus that chain. It'll all start coming together and be tied in together.
I mean, I think the game's gonna be crazy great. I've been seeing developers going from Web 2 trying that to Web 3, right? As a game publisher, I've been trying to export people in games. But yeah, like there's like literally Witcher 3 for like Witcher 3 level of games for getting built right now by like X Konami teams, X Ubisoft, like these guys are coming in now, building great games, and I just can't wait to play. Awesome. Yeah.
I'm thinking two specific things. I think in 3 years, I think ZK technology is going to be huge for the gaming industry. It's going to solve a lot of issues and be actually scalable. I think we're still early. But I also think that in 3 years, we had better have figured out the UX issue for this gaming into Web3. Again, like I said in the beginning, people need to know, or they don't need to know that they're essentially using blockchain. Blockchain will just be a second thought. They're there to play the game, they're there to enjoy the game, and then the benefits are blockchain based, and they can leverage that, and they can learn. They don't even have to learn about it because the UX is not good. That's how I see that That's how it should be in 3 years. It might take 5 years. Hopefully it's 3 years, even less.
Yeah, I would love to see that. And I think it's kind of inevitable. We just don't know if it's 3 years, 5 years. We'll get there. Okay, this is a great chance for us to ask the audience. If anyone has any questions for any of our panelists, raise your hand. Okay.
What's up, everybody? Come on, let's get hyped for these games up on the stage here. Let's go. Okay, this is so amazing because like relationships and engagement, I think, is the key to everything in crypto. Period. And gaming is going to put us over the top for onboarding people into Web3, right? So as people like these guys that are on the ground in the community, talking to everybody, like creating those connections, I think that's like really key. So my question is, over the past like 6 months or so, as we've gone through like this bear market, and we kind of used to have like not a big problem with engagement. Now we've got a flood of like thousands and thousands of projects, whether they're games or NFTs or whatever, in the ecosystem, and almost even less liquidity coming in. Like, how do you pivot? How do you get more engagement? How do you actually like perceive and look at what's happening versus like a lot of games and founders think they're getting engagement. They're doing the same things they used to do that they think work, and I'm the one on the phone telling you that they don't work, and you need to get in your hands dirty and get in your community and do things. So I'm really curious as to what you see works for you and what you think might be the key to getting more engagement coming now into 2023.
I love that question. For us, it's very interesting because we're blockchain, right? So we want games on our blockchain. That's one big focus for Syscoin and our Rolex Layer 2 that is coming out. So the first thing we do is we want to see how serious these games are about technology, for one. You know, are they building something that can actually scale? How serious is their community? How serious is their marketing? What are they doing? So we will align ourselves not only with a project that has a good idea or a game that has a good idea, but one that actually has a plan and it's ready to partner. One that's not just looking for money. Because that's what games want. That's what these game companies want. They need money, they need funding, or they need users. So what can you bring them? What can we bring them? That's where I start to think, okay, we got to team up here. And we got to work things together. But if you're just looking for money but you don't have a plan, why are we going to waste our time?
I think part of my question too is that like, do you see like you have your own team and your own engagement community managers, all this stuff, right? Also bringing in other people or bringing people up through your community. You see people here like Diamond Hands from Red Blocks, people that like Brady from DeFi Kingdoms that are creating content, doing amazing stuff. I'm on their streams helping them do that. And we see engagement, people getting excited, and people being really excited to play the game, right? Through actual manual interaction with people. So we used to have a different way that we had like bringing people in, influencers and stuff like that. Now, I think all of us have gone through the bear market and learned a lot and changed it, like what kind of people and personalities we want to bring in, and also how the founders, the team themselves interact with communities. It's like a great opportunity to really see what works and to bring in people that are really like strong in that, as opposed to before where you just probably find somebody that seems popular, right, or whatever it is. Because I'm really pushing hard for communities also to come together and bridge all that stuff between all the communities and bring the gaming communities together at the same time. Because I think we need to bring in more spokespeople, influencers, and stuff that actually really care about the games, right? People that are streaming, people, there's so many people here that are doing that right now for these gaming systems that I go around and say like, hey, you're talented, blow up, do more of it. Engage with people more. Like, you're really talented, right? So we need to, I think we need to really encourage this, and we need to see that the community is really often what drives this. And we talk about it all the time, but it really does. And you can bring that community up to be leaders themselves, right? So it's a great opportunity, I think, for us to learn about this, and I'm really curious of you guys, how do you think about this? Because it's a very gray area. Yeah, so I think there's a couple different things. So first, from a project standpoint, I think a lot of it comes down to accessibility. You know, being involved in your community, having your team members in your community, having a moderator team who's available and engaged and invested. So like one thing that we've done for, I don't know, since launch, I guess, is we do weekly AMAs. So, you know, we have a link on our site where people can go and submit questions, and every week we have an AMA with our team to answer those questions. So with the founders. I do think that's a big part of it. It's just being accessible yourselves. As far as from an influencer and content creator standpoint, I think the biggest dynamic shift that has already started happening and it's good to keep happening is that it's about the quality of the content, but it's about the creator actually being engaged in your game. So like one thing that, you know, we've tried to support content creators since day one, we love them. Obviously Brady's here, but you know, even outside of that, like one thing that we have not done is paid for shows, because those people don't care about our game. They just want to get paid. That's not producing anything. That's not giving us any kind of actual quality return. So I think that's a big part of it, is having content creators that are actually engaged in your platform. But one last thing to your point about bringing all these communities together, could not agree more. One thing that I firmly believe, and that I want everyone else to believe because I believe it, is there is no competition in GameFi right now, because GameFi isn't big enough for competition. The only way that we have competition is by making GameFi as big as Web2 gaming is. Then we can all compete. We can all go for the throats. Let's do it. Sounds like a blast. But right now, we all have the same challenge, and that is growing this space. And cutting each other at the knees and going after each other is not how that works.
Very good. Any other answers there? Okay, we have one more question. This will be the gentleman right here. Just hand him the mic.
Hi everybody, my name's Alex. I work for Footprint Analytics. So, based on our data, 90% of GameFi games go inactive within 30 days. So, what tips and tricks, now this would be a great question for DFK in general, right? Whether these games go inactive or shitty tokenomics, bad gameplay, lack of social interactions, or a combination of all three, right? But my question for you guys is, what tips and tricks can you give devs and builders in the GameFi scene to last 2 months? Okay, so that they be in the top 10% of these games, right? How do we last 2 months in this scene? Now in Web 2, that's all right? When I bought the game, I'm done with the game, that's fine. But in Web 3, we're losing money when these games go inactive. So, what tips, and like I said, how do we last 2 months as a protocol in this scene?
So I think step one is don't launch an intentional rug. You know, that's first and foremost. But the other thing, and this may sound a little bit harsh, but I don't mean it to, is if you're launching a platform and you cannot sustain past 30 days without 0 users, you're not ready to launch yet. You know, you should be able to go 6 months with basically no user adoption and not need to close your doors. And if you can't sustain past 30 days, don't launch yet. Keep working on it, keep getting ready. It's not that you shouldn't launch, it's not that you have a bad idea, you're just not ready to launch yet.
Addressing your question, Web 2 games don't last 2 months, they last years, because there is repeatability. They can relaunch the game again, they play the game again, there's constant flow, come back, like let's say what you're doing. There's years, LTV is like over 5 years, right? Even Skyrim, that's over 10 years, that's become so. What 3 games have to be good. If you're not focused on, like again, tokenomics first, NFTs first, gatekeeping, can't have that. It has to be good first. Free to play model, there's free to view models, there's different kinds of models. So like, depending on what kind of game you guys play, right? It could be free to play, Fortnite model, right? There's many various ways to monetize. So I wouldn't really say, I wouldn't be really worried about it. I'll be like, you know, same concept, what works best, bring it to Web3. Exactly, good games first, blockchain comes next. Yep, from there.
Also, I was gonna say the first thing is like, don't make a shitty game, make a good game. And then after you make a good game, you've got to focus on your community, you've got to focus on your marketing, the technology is also important. And then from there, you can really think about the value add. How is this game going to be, how is this game going to have longevity? Because a lot of these games, they have a shelf life. So you need to have a plan. And I feel like a lot of these games are just launched and it's like, oh, let's see what happens. But it should, you know, we should really plan out, you know, the longevity of the game.
Right. So it's always good game first, always the focus. Now, a tip that's good for Web 2 and Web 3 is a variable reward, by the way. It's a good one, guys. Thank you. You're welcome. It's a big one. And what you can use to do that on Web 3 is a randomness generator. And Supra happens to be one of the best in the world. We intend to be the best randomness generator on-chain and off-chain.
Beautiful segue.
Thank you. I think that's it. Is there anything else you guys want to mention? I had a chance to talk. Actually, each of you talk about your project for like 2 sentences.
Cool. Yeah, check out EthDenver. So we're on the Google Play Store and Apple App Store. Got loads of games there, and we're trying to on-ramp all these Web 2 players to Web 3 to give them a rewarding experience.
Yeah, very simple. If you want to be in the best community in Web3 and in GameFi, hop in DeFi Kingdom's Discord. Shout out to Supra.
Yeah, come to GameSplit. We're launching Web 2, Web 3 games and metaverses. Experience like games like DeFi. Hopefully, you can experience DeFi Kingdom soon on GameSwift. And yeah, please come visit our games.
As we're Syscoin, we're OGs in the space. We've been here since 2014 working on technology since then, and now our aim is to be the most scalable blockchain ever, better than Ethereum, better than everyone. And we're really bullish on GameFi. We really want to bring in as many games as possible because it's going to be the wave that's going to bring us many users. So if you are part of a game, anything in that field, please come speak to us. We'd love to partner up.
Thank you, everyone. That was great.